what I wanted to do is I wanted to make a tree house, but I wanted the tree house to actually look like kids build it. So I started that first. This is the second version. First version ended up being too small, but what I did was I took odd-sized boards, different painted boards, and I made a tree house. Okay. Then I made the roof, and the roof is actually made of basswood. Then I covered it with some aluminum foil, and then I made it look rusty, like it was old corrugated roofing. And I used a JTT scenery tree because this tree is a very open tree, and it's made using a twisted wire, so it's really fairly easy to work with. But I added a base to it down here so that it would look like it actually, was in the ground right. I first mounted the treehouse onto the tree, and this treehouse is actually made so I can literally take it apart if I have to. It's made with the two sides are screwed together. All the mechanics inside are screwed in rather than glued in. And what I wanted to try and recreate was kids that made the treehouse, and now they're trying to get the dog up into the treehouse. So I have the little beagle, which is actually representative of the beagle we used to have, that my kids had, and a little boy down here at the end of the rope, and he's going to pull Kibbles, that's the name of our dog, up into the treehouse, into the bottom of the treehouse. Now, there's a little added bonus on this one, because as he goes up, there's another kid that actually sticks his head and arms down below the treehouse to come after the dog. Now, I used a different mechanism on this one. I'm going to show you how this works in a minute, but I used a different mechanism on this one. I never did this before. All my back and forth mechanisms have used a cam. This one does not use a cam. This one uses a series of rollers, and as this turns around, okay, it pushes this little wheel, this arm up and down, and it's spring loaded, so it constantly pushes back down. And the same thing on this side. This side is the one here to here and up that makes the boy go back and forth. So it's only going to travel about an inch. So my indent that's cut into here can only be a half inch. So it's a whole thing with algebra and trigonometry. Finally, my math in high school is paying off. The same thing with then the guy that's coming out. That doesn't go very far. So I had to make those arms shorter and smaller. And I drew everything out on a piece of graph paper first and saved it. So it really came out fairly well. The only thing there's two things that are not onto this yet, and I have a little ladder that I'm going to put up against this tree to kind of try and hide my wire, and then I also made a little rope ladder that'll hang down here just for effect. And when you're going to view it, you're going to view it from this side. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to plug it in, and give you a little peek here at how this is going to work. And then I'm going to pull it up out of there so you can actually see the mechanism working. So here we go. Okay, now if you look, the little boy goes back and forth, but he doesn't just go back and forth. He stops, and then he goes a little bit, and then he comes down, back, and then he's going to kind of, it's like he's running and doesn't know what to do. Now, in the air, now he goes back again, so you can see that it's not just a back and forth motion, that it's back and forth, and then he'll stop, and he'll pause, and then he'll come the whole way back, and then the dog goes down to the ground again. Now, in the meantime, there's a guy up underneath the tree house, and you can see that he's going to come down to grab the dog. And again, that's the same thing. He doesn't just up and down and out. It's every now and then. It almost looks random. Now you can see it working. I'll take it out of here, and you can see how everything works. Now, like I said, this is the first time I ever built this kind of a mechanism. So one thing, is I'm anxious to see how long it lasts. I have been running it in my workshop, but that's not going to be the test of time. I had to put these two braces on here because there was a lot of torque on this motor and with these arms and these springs, and I had to be able to make these two down pieces here stationary. So I actually ended up having to re-engineer a little bit.